Well, good morning and good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the second day of the European Research Day 2020. My name is Susanne Renzo-Vasu, and I am the regional representative of EURAXESS worldwide in Southeast Asia. The European Research Day is, of course, our annual flagship event. It is meant for you, the research community in Malaysia and across Southeast Asia, to find out what the opportunities are for you to work with European collaborators, or maybe to spend part of your research career in a European country. And we will hear later in a few minutes about a very interesting, very innovative country, the Netherlands, and the many opportunities that are available for you to spend some time there, or maybe work with partners in the Netherlands. And I think, given that this is an unusual year, we would normally be meeting in a conference hall and not online in our own living rooms. I think this is our job also to reassure you a bit. I know young researchers are finding the current situation particularly concerning. They don't know how the restrictions are affecting their career development, given that mobility is restricted. And I think this is why this European Research Day comes at an opportune time to really remind ourselves that research remains borderless, that opportunities are still there, and that Europe remains open for international research talent. I wanted to open this session by sharing a short presentation with you, just 5 minutes, about EURAXESS. And I want to do that because EURAXESS really is a wonderful opportunity for you to find out what is happening in Europe for you and how you can get in touch with potential collaborators. So EURAXESS really is a one-stop information and support tool. This is a project that is funded by the European Commission, but is supported by currently 36 European countries. Of course, the Netherlands is one of them. And what you find in that one-stop information and support tool is information about funding. So if you click on today, I just checked, there are really thousands of research jobs, fellowships, and funding opportunities that are offered by the various national funding agencies across Europe, and of course by the European Commission. You also find a partnering tool, and I know this is a big obstacle for early career researchers that are trying to expand their network and they're not entirely sure how to identify potential collaborators. Creating visibility for yourself is really a key that you always hear from the more senior researchers. You need to be visible somewhere that potential collaborators can find you. And this partnering tool, I really recommend for you to use it. Sign yourselves up so that individuals, researchers, but also organizations across Europe can find you and can get in touch with you, and of course, vice versa. EURAXESS also hosts a hosting database. Now, this is very important. Keep that in mind when you're listening to our speakers talk later on. There'll be lots of fellowships and funding opportunities, but often the onus is on you as the applicant to find a university or a supervisor in Europe, in the Netherlands, that would host you. So the hosting database gives you information about opportunities, about calls from supervisors in Europe, from universities in Europe that are looking for international researchers to come and spend some time at their institution. EURAXESS also provides a lot of information about living in Europe as a researcher. You will find, again, funding opportunities, but also issues concerning immigration status, and also general information about what it's like to live in the various European countries. And you will find here a specific page by each of those 36 European countries that are part of EURAXESS. So EURAXESS Netherlands has their own dedicated website on this portal where you will find all kinds of information that is relevant to you if you're interested in moving to the Netherlands as a researcher, or working with researchers from the Netherlands. We also have, and I think this is what makes this project unique, we have personalized assistance. So there are over 600 so-called service centers across those 36 European countries. And we don't have a computer that's answering your emails, but people that are seated there and they are dedicated to helping you make your research mobility experience possible. All of this, of course, is always free of charge, and I can really strongly recommend for you to check out these service centers to see what services they can provide to you. EURAXESS ASEAN is part of EURAXESS Worldwide. I am based in Singapore, so I'm just next door, and we of course do a lot of activities as well. We would usually meet you in person like we would with the European Research Day, but nowadays we have moved everything online. Nonetheless, we have, besides the European Research Day, lots of workshops, how to get your research published, how to write an effective grant proposal, etc. So please, I invite you to have a look at our website. You can use this handy QR code that I've created here to kind of have a first look at what we're doing, and there are my contact details. You can also, of course, just send me a message. And with this, I will just stop sharing my slides, and I hope you'll make use of that. And I'll hand over to our moderator for today. Our moderator is James Zulfan. He is an Indonesian researcher, and James is also a graduate of Delft University in the Netherlands. Now with this, I will hand over to James to say a little bit about himself, because he has ties to Nuffic-Neso, I just found out, and to handle this session from now on. Thank you, James. The floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, Susan. Okay, hi everyone. Selamat siang, selamat tengah hari semuanya. So yeah, as introduced by Susan, my name is James Zulfan, and currently I am an engineer and I'm working at the Ministry of Public Works and Housing in Indonesia. And in 2017, I got my master degree from IHE Delft Institute with a major in hydraulic and river engineering. And yes, I got fully funded by the Nuffic NFP scholarships. So yeah, I am one of the lucky one who got benefits from the Nuffic-Neso, because if I remember, in 2014, I got funded for training, a 1-month training in the Netherlands from the student program from Nuffic, and a year after that, I got my master scholarships by the Netherlands Fellowship Program, also from Nuffic, for 2 years. So yeah, this opportunity, I would like to thank Nuffic-Neso Indonesia for giving me the opportunity to taste the research and also the educations in the Netherlands. So, and yeah, for the records, the Netherlands was still my favorite countries in Europe. So whenever I travel to Europe, I always make times to spend maybe 1 or 2 days before I got back to Indonesia. And yes, last year's in 2019, luckily I won the EURAXESS prize 2019 after I won the final falling wall slab competitions in Indonesia, in Jakarta, and also I got a chance to win also the EURAXESS prize. And why this is interesting, because the EURAXESS prize allows me to travel to Europe again. For me, it's like a European tour, because yeah, I went to 4 different countries to meet and see the top universities and laboratories, to making connections and sharing knowledge, meeting the professors and the researchers. So why this is important? Because for me, since I am now looking for the PhD positions, and you know, one of the struggle for the PhD Hunter is to making connection with the potential professors, right? Sometimes the professor is busy and you cannot have a connection with him, but this EURAXESS prize allows me to be able to meet in person with the potential professors and to discuss the research project directly. So yeah, this is important. So knowing the available scholarship funded is really important. So yeah, as you say, if you are interested in the Netherlands, so this is a good time because in today's sessions, we will zoom in to discuss about the Netherlands. This is the country which is known for its excellence in research infrastructures, and the research institutions in the Netherlands host many international researchers. In fact, the country is among the top 3 European countries to host grantees of the prestigious European Research Council, or we call ERC, at its institutions. So yeah, joining with us today is Dr. Peter van Tuijl. He is the director of Nuffic-Neso Indonesia, who will introduce us to many opportunities to carry out research in the Netherlands. So good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Siang.
Hi. So yeah, before I invite Peter to share his presentations, just a quick reminder for all the participants, because this is an interactive sessions. So use these opportunities to asking all of your questions and doubt maybe to all the panelists, and please write it down in the question box, and we will try to answer it one by one later after Peter's presentations. So thank you, and yeah, Peter, whenever you are ready, the floor is yours.
I'm ready. Thank you very much, Suzanne. Thank you very much, James, for the kind introduction. My name is Peter van Tuijl. I am based in Jakarta, working as director of Nuffic-Neso, the Netherlands Education Support Office. You see here a picture of the Nuffic headquarters in The Hague. Nuffic is the Netherlands Organization for International Education. We do education and research promotion. We promote institutional cooperation between academic institutions. We manage the network of Holland alumni, and I'm happy to share with you that there are tens of thousands of people all over Southeast Asia that have studied in the Netherlands, and we also manage scholarships, master degree scholarships. I move on. This, of course, is the inevitable picture that you will see in any presentation about the Netherlands, because we are the foremost exporter of flowers in the world. And so this is certainly something you will see if you come to the Netherlands. I just jump immediately to what probably is an issue that is on the mind of many of the people listening in the moment. Can I go to the Netherlands? Can I do research at the moment? What is the situation in what we now call the new normal because of the COVID-19 pandemic? The answer to that question is that universities in the Netherlands are all open and active. Like in many other countries in the world, people, students, researchers follow measures to constrain the spread of the virus. So we keep distance, we wash hands, we are careful, but in general, universities are open. They and of course, people that have symptoms cannot come into the institutions, as I said here. Most institutions at the moment provide forms of what is called hybrid education. So there are no large meetings, no large groups of students at one time in a room, but smaller working groups often take place, and certainly individual contacts between researchers, students, and teachers and professors. So the academic community in the Netherlands is fully operational in that sense. That is also true. In other words, it is facilitated by the legal situation. For most countries in Southeast Asia, with passport holders from countries like Malaysia, Thailand, and others, they cannot go directly to the Netherlands, but students and researchers are specifically exempted from this. So if you want to apply for a visa, you can apply at the Dutch embassy in your country, and you will be allowed to come to the Netherlands. My office has been supporting hundreds of students over the past couple of months to obtain their staying permits in the Netherlands to study there. So you can go to the Netherlands. It comes with a number of conditions that are unfortunately inevitable in the new normal. I move to the question, why would you consider the Netherlands if you're interested to pursue a PhD? The Netherlands, to make a long story short, basically makes a good offer because most of our research universities are classified in the top 200 of the different rankings that exist, such as the Times New World. Dutch universities receive considerable amounts of EU funding, have large output of scientific articles and scientific citations. What I should also add, of course, is that the Dutch are the foremost non-native English speakers in the world. This has been extensively researched. There is no country outside native English-speaking countries where such a large percentage of the population speaks English very well or fluently, and we have about 2,200 MA courses in English directly. So you can study almost any subject in English in the Netherlands. And if you live in the Netherlands, go around in the Netherlands, you will have absolutely no problem if you do not know the Dutch language. It is also not an obligation to learn the Dutch language to study or to do research in the Netherlands. It is simply not a problem. Here you see the commitment of the Dutch government to invest in science, which of course has to do with connections with realizing the SDGs. There is about 4.5 billion euros of research funding available directly from the Dutch government. There's a number of universities, altogether about almost 40, and there is also a number of specific knowledge institutions, and the private sector is also participating in determining the research agenda. There are basically three flows of research funding. The first flow is direct government funding. The second flow goes via intermediary organization, the Dutch Organization for Scientific Research, NWO, and the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences. They do more specific research projects. And of course, there is a third flow of money via other revenues, such as the European Horizons 2020 program or the European Framework programs, which is why we are also very happy to work together with UREXUS, which is put forward by the EU as a joint effort of European countries to attract talented researchers from Malaysia and Southeast Asia. Here, just an example of the University of Groningen that does a project together with institutions in Laos and Malaysia with EU funding. Here you see the participating universities, which includes Universitas Utara Malaysia and University of Malaysia, as well as 2 universities from Laos. They do basically capacity building. So how to do research, how to do focused social research, how to write an article for an international journal, how to disseminate that information. A very interesting project, and I thought just nice to share with you as an example of institutional collaboration that researchers may benefit from. People then make study tours to University of Groningen, to the Netherlands. They also visited our office in The Hague, and they look at how research and social science research, in this case in particular, is being done, urban studies, inclusivity, how to develop research talent. So there are those kind of collaborative projects going on between Dutch universities and universities in this region of the world. Back to the overall picture. Here you see an infograph of the role of NWO, the Research Council. I think I should save you all of the institutions involved. This is an important channel of funding for research. You can go to their website and you can fairly easily search it for open applications for funding. Sometimes there are individual calls for proposals, sometimes that's in the context of research with institutions. You can search it based on the theme or the academic discipline that you're interested in, and you can find a lot more information on the NWO website in this regard. This is an important source of funding. This is the KNAW, the Royal Academy of Sciences. Same story. They have a specific site, specific page for funding opportunities. These are mostly more specific projects. So if you're interested, as we hope, to do research under the umbrella of a Dutch institution, then you can go to these sites and search if there are current opportunities. This, I think, is an important slide because it tells you a bit more about the basics of pursuing a PhD in the Netherlands. It's considered to take normally about 4 up to 5 years, to write originally researched dissertation. And what is a bit different from quite a few other countries, a PhD program is not regarded as a study program, but as a research in and of itself, and it is mostly considered to be a job. So research universities in the Netherlands, they advertise PhD positions on job boards, and I will give you the information of the relevant job boards. And so you're basically applying for a job in the Netherlands if you apply for a PhD. Also visa-wise, if you do a PhD, that is different from an MA study, in most cases, you will get a work visa in the Netherlands, not a student visa, because again, you are considered to do a job. So that gives a more clear-cut professional relationship with the institution where you will be employed. And the salary is enough, certainly, to keep you going as an individual, but also for you and your family. It comes with certain additional benefits. Of course, it is also possible, if you're lucky enough, to come with your own research grant. It is also possible to do a PhD next to your job. That usually takes longer, because if you do a job, you cannot spend as much time on doing the research, but those are possibilities. So that tells you a little bit about how doing PhD research is principally perceived in the Netherlands. Here you have the 2 most important job boards. these presentations will be available in due course on the UREXUS website. So you can either take a picture with your camera of these two sites, or you will see, or you can find it back in the presentation. Academic transfer is really important. They gather all of the open PhD positions all over the Netherlands in any academic discipline. This is pretty well coordinated. Here you see the fact cards website. Which also provides information about how to move to the Netherlands, what you have to do to live there, which is not very complicated. We don't find many people having problems with that. Here you have the overview of all of the different kind of issues that you might want to have an interest in. This is the academic transfer website. There you can also type in keywords or scientific field that you're interested in to search for opportunities. This is an example of a PhD workshop, a China virtual event that will happen in November. We are actually in the process of organizing such events early next year, also in Southeast Asia. Because of course, what is important for you, like in other countries, Suzanne was mentioning it already in her introduction, is to get in touch with the right professor, the right person who says, hey, what you want to do, what you want to research, that is interesting for us. And these kind of events, which now also, of course, have to go virtual, may provide you that opportunity. So you can submit your outline of your research proposal, and professors that will come to these events can have a look at it. So this is kind of a meeting place to mutually explore whether there is a click between your idea, your interest, and what a Dutch professor is looking for. So we organize those kind of things as well. Here you have the basic information, the phone number of our office, the email, of course. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. Our social media accounts are also here that you can follow. But please do not hesitate to contact us in case you have any further questions. That completes my presentation. So I close this for now. Thank you. Back to you, James, because you have been looking at the questions probably already.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Okay, thank you for your interesting presentations. So we are now already have lots of questions from the participants. So I will, yeah, we try to address it one by one. So this is questions from Amrin Zaid Sati. So the questions are, what are the research opportunities for pharmaceutical sciences?
Okay. The best that you can do if you're interested in a specific field is to go to the Study Finder website, which is also in the presentation. There you can find the relevant universities that offer these kind of fields of study. In the case of pharmaceuticals, that would be Nijmegen, that would be Rotterdam, and a couple of others. So that could be your initial entry point to learn which universities, and that is the one website where you find all academic studies in the Netherlands, studyfinder.nl. Very simple, easy to research.
Yeah, true. I mean, based on also my experience, the website, the Study Finder, is really practical, really practice. So it's really easy. You just have to check what is your major interest, and then you can find all of the resource inside the websites. Yeah, this is true. Okay, next questions is from, wait, wow, we have lots of questions here. Let me just erase a bit. Okay. Now, let me, yeah. So this is from Yusef Kasim. What is the opportunity for doing PhD in teaching English as second language?
That sounds like an interesting topic. I would search for a university where English literature and English language is being taught, which I guess will be most universities to the best of my knowledge. And again, as I said in my presentation, of course, also the issue is always to find a professor. And so search the websites of those universities, see what kind of research is being done. That is usually pretty transparent. Find a person, and also I would say, in addition to the kind of meeting places that we now organize online, do not hesitate to write to a professor with a certain idea or a certain proposal if you think it's good enough, and if it's advanced enough, to seek an interest. And keep an eye on the job boards that I was sharing, like Academic Transfer, because if there is a position out there that fits with your idea to do research, then you can simply apply for that research position and see how far you come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's answered questions. Okay, another question from Mr. Rahmat Kurniawan. Yeah, the question is this grant open for bachelor, master, and professional level such as MD, DO, etc.?
The research funding, of course, normally is given to people who have reached the MA level already. Yeah, an exceptional base of practice experience may exempt you from that requirement, but normally if you apply for a PhD position, you need to have what is known by its Latin term, the ius promovendi, the right to write a PhD literally, and that is granted if you have an MA title. So normally the MA level is the minimum required to move forward to a PhD.
Yeah, agree, of course. Okay, I think that also answered the questions. Now, questions from Surya Dewi Puspitasari. I am wondering, is it possible to pursue PhD in Netherlands, but with different background from our major master degree? Maybe he means the previous background, the last previous background is different from the topic that he wants to pursue in PhD. Is it possible?
Yes, that is possible. That is definitely possible. It would, of course, be a bit strange if there is a total disconnect. If, let's say, somebody who has studied social sciences all of a sudden wants to do a PhD in medicine, that would be strange. But there is a great tolerance for people to move on in their studies. And the focus is really on the quality of the research proposals and how interesting it is, the research that you want to do. So there is quite a bit of tolerance in the fit between the academic background and what you want to, how you want to continue your study.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I want to add something because my bachelor background is also a management constructions, but for my master degree, I take more specific the river engineering. So I think it's
there you go.
Not really far, but still in the construction, but it's different topics, right? But yeah. What I want to, what I can bring onto the scholarship owner is that I have been, I mean, I have been working in that area, for some years maybe, and I have like a small research project on that area. So maybe this can also help us to become confident in submitting the applications.
Right, and then you win the UREXUS prize.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Next questions. Okay, this is from Fakar Abbas from Pakistan. He's looking for postdoc position in the Netherlands in the field of wireless communications. Is there any opportunity for me?
In principle, yes. There is no differentiation between nationality or whatsoever. Wireless communication, that sounds more like Pa James' alma mater, Delft University, Eindhoven University, but also Amsterdam has this. Same story. Look at the studyfinder.nl, see where you find the relevant academic courses and teachers, and make the connection from there. And again, you can look at the academic transfer job board, type in wireless communication, and see if there's any openings. It's pretty practical, the approach to check.
Yeah, true. Okay. Okay, next from Nurul Najwa Zulkifli. How about doing postdoc in the Netherlands? Is it I need to find the information through EURAXESS website?
I think the information is also shared on UREXUS website. Suzanne should know that. But you will find those positions also on the job boards that I was just sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Next one again. Okay, this is quite long. Okay. Hello, I'm Malaysian from Nur Farahin, holding permit resident here in Italy. May I know is my bureaucracy works will be fine if I am applying research PhD in the Netherlands? Also, how big often is the opportunity for us Malaysian in the Netherlands? Thank you.
The opportunity is as big or as small, if you want to, as for any other nationality. There is absolutely no preference or whatsoever. As a matter of fact, that's maybe an interesting to know, 1/3 of academic staff in Dutch academic institutions is non-Dutch. 1/3, mind you, 1 out of 3. Professors, teachers come from all over the world. So education, academic education and research in the Netherlands in that sense is truly international. So for anyone, there's an opportunity. If you have a residence permit in Italy already, you can, in any case, because you have access to the Schengen area, you can travel to the Netherlands without any problem.
Yeah.
Then keeping to the COVID rules. So that will be easier for you. And I think in case you manage to find a research position in the Netherlands, the transfer of the visa will also go easier. You do not need to go back to Malaysia first. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's answered the questions. Also from Dian Novita Sitompul, the questions are, what are the tips to be selected as a researcher in one of the research program funded by the Dutch government?
Write a good proposal, which means, you know, the research grants are focused on certain areas, like NWO just put out calls for proposals around renewable energy, for example. Like in any competition, do you have an intellectually interesting and innovative idea? I should say, because this is relevant, of course, for probably some of the people who do not come from native English-speaking countries, the quality of your English and the quality of English in your proposal need to be really good. That is
sure.
a must. That is a must. If you want to do PhD research, your English must be really fluent enough. And that is, what is it, TOEFL 6.0 at the moment is a minimum. So that is important. And then look if your research, of course, if there is a click with ongoing projects, ongoing priorities in academic institutions and with professors. I continue to return to that because I think that is important in a lot of European countries. At the end of the day, what you need in order to do a PhD is an academic supervisor. As a professor, someone is entitled to give you a PhD that says, hey, I'm interested in your research. This is where I want to put my funding. This is where I'm willing to employ you. So that is, and that of course, I appreciate that is the most difficult if you have never been to the Netherlands, which is why you need to spend time on looking for the right institution, the right person. But then people are quite approachable. The Netherlands is an open country. So if you have a good idea, don't hesitate to send it up and bring it forward.
Okay, next question from Mr. Khalih Putro. Is there any research priority set by the Netherlands government? And is it be easier to admit in research funding if this topic is related to their research priorities?
The short answer is no. The Netherlands government finances all sorts of research in any kind of discipline, you know, even into very small, let's say, for lack of a better word, academic areas. I was just talking to someone from Vietnam who had written a PhD of 1,600 pages about medieval hand scripts. You know, so a very specific kind of field. So there is of course priority set where funds are allocated for new research lines, as you can find on the website of NWO or on the website of KNAW. Those are spearheaded, but there is generic funding, and the first line of funding I was talking about in my presentation that go to all universities, where all sorts of research is being funded. It's I would say reason out of your own interest, your own wishes, your own desire, your own idea for a research. Stick to that, and do not take doing PhD research as, you know, something to make the funder happy. You know, it should make yourself happy and your country happy, and you should pursue your own passion, if you wish, because that will be more convincing also if you write your proposal, if you can put your heart and your brains really into it, and that will convince a professor.
Okay, next question from Chuan Wei. Is there any platform that could provide information for research collaborations?
That is in particular those websites of NWO and KNAW. There you see calls for proposals for research projects between Dutch and Asian universities, for example. You will find that information on those websites.
Next question. Is age a criteria for PhD? Can someone above 50 apply?
It's that's an interesting question. As a matter of fact, age is not necessarily a limit. What we see in practice is that we see few people over 50 years joining, you know, a PhD. But there is no principle or legal prohibition or whatever. And of course, what we also see is that some people do PhD research and write a PhD after their retirement. That is actually an increasing phenomena with people growing older and being healthy and interested. But those, yeah, let's be frank, is less the case for people that come within a context of international exchange and international student education. So no principal barrier in terms of age. Practically speaking, if you look at the facts, what is happening in reality, most PhD researchers are in between 30 to 45, 50 years old.
Yeah, thank you. Now from questions from Nur Dayana Arifin. How does Dutch institutions assist scholars on a short research stint, maybe 3 to 6 months, learn about Dutch culture and language while also engaging their respective research area?
There's not so much of those kind of programs in the Netherlands. This is beginning. We're actually working on that, on providing such a facility here in Indonesia, together with the Erasmus Talencentrum, the Dutch language center based in the Dutch embassy here in Jakarta. As I said, to learn the language is not a condition to do research or to pursue a PhD normally in the Netherlands. So it's more the level of English. That's really a necessary qualification. And will you be supported and guided? Yes, is the answer, of course, by your supervisor, by your supervisory team. And what is also very important is by means of peer review. That is particularly significant if you do a PhD. Practically every university creates smaller groups of PhD students from different countries, obviously, that do research in like-minded fields. Yeah, so let's say Wageningen University will have a group of first or second year PhDs that meet on a frequent basis, that share problems, that share lessons learned, that help each other, that review each other's work, etc. And that proves often to be a very useful way of providing support, because that's what I get from the question. It's like, okay, am I alone out there, or what kind of support do I really have? And on top of that, of course, every university has an international office, has a student counselor. So if you have other kind of issues beyond purely the academic, there is also a support system in each university.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm looking for another questions, because lots of questions are similar. It mentioned how to find the possible funding for this kind of topics. So maybe for that questions, we can just find it like Peter's already presents in the website of Studi Finder, that you will have all the information, the requirements, and all the details on the grants and all the universities that provide topics with your expectations.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, because lots of similar questions. Let me see about. Yeah, so this is Astari Minarti. So she got master degree from Germany 8 years ago in environmental science, and now working on PhD proposal in urban environmental. And she's now planning to email some related professors in the Netherlands. So after she got the Dutch supervisor, am I eligible to apply for the Nuffic-Neso?
The Nuffic-Neso at the moment does not have lines of funding for PhD research. As I said, that has all been delegated to the universities themselves. So you would have to look at the academic transfer, or what I would rather advise, certainly because you have passed that critical point then of finding a supervisor, or finding a professor that says, I'm interested to supervise your PhD research, to talk with him or her and discuss if that research can be funded within the first stream. And in other words, can be advertised, or probably not advertised at that point, but if they can directly then fund your research and offer you a contract of work, as I try to explain in my presentation, because that is the status of most PhD research in the Netherlands.
Yeah. Okay, now next one is from Alfie. So I am a PhD student in accounting in UKM, Malaysia, and I'm about to collaborate research with the institution in NL. Any tips?
I mean, do a good job. And if you want to go to the Netherlands, don't be afraid, because the Netherlands is really open to people from Southeast Asia. You know, this is there is, as people I guess know, the Netherlands especially has a history together with Indonesia. The story that I always tell is that when I was working in The Hague and cycling to my office, as you do in the Netherlands, I cycled for about 25 minutes. And during the 25 minutes, I passed 12 Indonesian restaurants. So, you know, there is no lack of Asian food in Holland. That you know, you can feel comfortable, and again also because the language barrier is not very significant. You move, if you go into a Dutch shop, people will talk English to you. It's not a problem. So that is that's the easy part of it, so to say.
Maybe James, on that
Yes.
positive note, maybe if we take one final question.
Yes. Okay. Now this is final questions, maybe from Safwan Galib. So, is there any complication to get the visa to NL if you are from the country in the Middle East? Is there any maybe problem or something?
No, no. All I can say is, look, everybody is appreciated, and what I get from the question is like, are some countries being looked upon with greater suspicion or so? No, I mean the Dutch immigration runs a normal check on everybody when it comes to let's say kind of a background check, but there is no differentiation between any country. And you know, some of our best students come from countries of conflict, of countries with problems, because there is talent everywhere, and we do not discriminate.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes, true.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we also have I mean, running out of time. So thank you, Peter, for answering the questions.
My pleasure.
And
I hope it was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you all the participants. And now I'm handing back to Susan, please.
Yes, thank you so much, James, for moderating this, and thank you so much, Peter. I think what we've learned is there are so many opportunities, but you have to put a little bit of effort into it. So a lot of the questions I've been looking at it online are the same. It's always a question, is there an opportunity in my specific field? And I think the answer we received from Peter is yes, there very likely is. You have to look at the resources that are available, and we've seen there are lots of online portals where you can find out for yourself where the research is being done across the Netherlands, where the major institutions and supervisors are seated, and also the corresponding funding opportunities. Maybe to add something, Peter, the Netherlands university system also has a very strong administrative structure. So there's always a research support office, there's an international relations office, there's a grants office, and they play a major role also, I think, in helping international students find funding and help them, you know, get supported throughout their stay.
Yeah, this I was referring to that already. Indeed, if you have the, because there was a question from somebody who had a supervisor already, then indeed you can definitely immediately go to that support system that each university has up and running.
Absolutely, and there were a few questions also about different research career opportunities. I just had a quick sneaky peek at the EURAXESS Netherlands website, just looking at the job opportunities, and there's currently almost 400 open vacancies across the Netherlands, from PhD up to experienced researchers. So obviously there are opportunities for you, and we do hope that you will make use of some of them for your career development and also for your international collaboration efforts. And I think with this, it's time to say thank you to our speaker, Peter, and to our moderator, James.
My pleasure.
You're both in Indonesia, so I hope you have a nice lunchtime and then afternoon ahead of you. And to our audience, you will receive the recording, you will receive the slides, and then it's up to you to make something out of these opportunities. So with this, have a good day, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Bye. See you soon.
Bye.